Hello and welcome to the ISO Ball podcast with your host, Derek Terrio, your place to learn about the NBA on and off the court. Today we're going to do the Game 4 post-game breakdown for the 2018 NBA Finals, which unfortunately ended up in a sweep and a 4-0 win for the Warriors, who have won 3 of their last 4 championships over the last 4 years. And um, to the one thing I want to say about this series is that I don't think it was necessarily indicative of the 4-0 sweep that we saw. Clearly, game one, they were right in the game and took that to overtime. Game two, obviously, was more of a Warriors fourth quarter dominance, and then game three, they were right there within a few possessions down the stretch. And game four, we'll talk about it in a minute, but was closer to game two than it was to games 1 and 3. So let's go through it again quarter by quarter, and we'll kind of touch on a little bit of big picture stuff after that as well. So in the first quarter, same starters. I think the Warriors went with Steph, Klay Thompson, KD, Draymond, and JaVale McGee, while the Cavs went with George Hill, J.R. Smith, LeBron James, Kevin Love, and Tristan Thompson. So the score was 6-3 with 10:20 left to go in the first quarter, and just right off the bat, the Cleveland was executing well on offense. They were really getting good looks from downtown, but nothing seemed to be falling. But on the other end, the Warriors were getting a lot of buckets within the flow of their offense that came really easily, and it didn't seem like Cleveland was shutting them down to any sort of extent. So 9:23 left to go in the quarter. Cleveland calls a timeout after Curry puts back an easy layup for a 10-3 Golden State lead. And like I said, Cleveland was executing to start. Love missed 2 wide open catch and shoot threes, and George Hill missed 1 as well. All of them were good looks from downtown, and JR had the only bucket to that point. So moving on, KD in the first quarter had a couple of big time rejections, and one of them actually led to a ridiculous Curry 3 where he kind of just tossed it up after I think he was getting Tristan Thompson in the air and kind of hitting his shoulder, and he threw up kind of a running, not a running, but a floater one-handing 3 from about 27 feet, and he made it, which was absolutely nuts. That put the Warriors up 13-3. And then the Cavs went on a little mini 5-0 run. LeBron hit a nice fadeaway baseline shot over JaVale McGee, and then another Love transition 3 had a quick 5-0 run, which led to a Warriors timeout. McGee lost Love in transition there as well. So a couple of mistakes from McGee, and then we had 13-11 Golden State with 6:37 to go. So right after that timeout, the Warriors came out firing. They came out with a super quick 11-2 run off of wide open threes, and they got 3 of them. Draymond got a catch and shoot 3, and Iggy got 1 as well. And there was another transition 3 from Curry as well after a LeBron turnover. And then right after that, there was a KD dunk off a missed shot. So that forced a timeout from Cleveland with 5:07 to go, and at that point it was 24-13 Warriors. And you're getting the sense at this point that the sense of urgency from Cleveland was just not there to be able to have to go down this much this early, and it was kind of disappointing. We saw last year in Game 7 that in Game 5 in the 2017 finals Game 4, my apologies, that they really made the effort. They weren't going to be content with being swept in 2017, and they went for a historic performance. I think it was 20-plus threes or something like that. And in this game, I didn't see that energy whatsoever. It was just kind of, like I said, disappointing. But nonetheless, Cleveland was just kind of hanging in there. They cut the gap to 5 with about 3 minutes left. They were starting to get some stops. The defensive pressure was getting a little bit better. But at times, it was just defensive stretches. It really wasn't anything consistent over time. It was just some stretches they were defending. Other times they were having mismatches. It just wasn't that great. So, and then at the end of the quarter, Cleveland have about 5 shots around the rim. I think Larry Nance and Kevin Love were just battling, trying to get that ball into the net, and just missed on all of those opportunities. And the quarter ended 34-25 for the Warriors. Curry had 12 points in the quarter, Durant with 8, and then LeBron with 8 points and 3 assists as well. So Draymond and Iggy counted for 3 3-pointers for 9 points in that quarters. And if those guys are hitting, then it's damn near a wrap. We understand that Klay, Curry, and KD can get those shots whenever they want. Those 3-pointers are going to fall. But when you're getting those 3-point makes from Iguodala and Draymond Green, that's very tough. And again, that their 3-pointers, a couple from Iggy and one from Draymond, was the 9 points, which was the difference in that quarter right away. So 12 of 23 shooting in the quarter, 56% for the Warriors, and then only 8 of 25 for Cleveland for 32%. But again, about 5 of those shots came on attempted putbacks at the rim, so tough to really judge that for more than just the number it is. So moving on to the second quarter, 36-33 Warriors. So again, Cavs kind of hanging around. Cavs defense was good to start. They were scoring at will in the paint. Everything was coming for them in the paint, which was absolutely incredible for them. Weren't really taking any tough, difficult shots. Everything was coming fairly easy, whether it be Tristan Thompson flashing into the paint off a double, or Larry Nance, who had a couple nice seals for a couple easy buckets in the paint. Things were looking really good for the Cavs to start. And the Warriors were the total opposite, in all honesty. They did not come out with any sort of urgency on offense, and one play was really indicative of the first half of the second quarter. Was Draymond Green actually airballed a 3 with 16 seconds left on the shot clock, a shot that you can get pretty much any time in the game. So that was kind of a better idea of how the Warriors were playing. Again, not very good whatsoever. Clay had 3 fouls early, and it looked like the Cleveland Cavaliers were looking to try and attack Clay to see if they can get him his 4th foul. So that was a strategy they tried to employ. And Cleveland was also just executing in transition and getting easy shots at the rim, like I mentioned. So timeout, Golden State Warriors with 7 to go, and the lead was 39-38 for Cleveland. Another thing that the Cavs actually did well, they guarded the relocation threes from Curry again very well, just like they did in the last game. I think there was about 3 of them that got defended really well. Again, just making sure that they were attached and stuff like that. And then another 3 from Iggy, and Golden State goes up 4 after some bad turnovers and defense from the Cavs. And then after another easy Curry bucket, I think there was another timeout, and it was 49-46, Golden State with 3:40 to go. And at this point, it's like, okay, it's a game. The Cavs, they're making an effort. They're right in the game. We're gonna see how this plays out. And with about 3 minutes to go, closing the quarters for the Cavs, it was not great at all. So Curry hits a deep 3. He was at 17 points with about 3 minutes to go. At that point, it was 52-47 Golden State. JR responds with a relocation 3 after LeBron post up. And then 56-52 Warriors for 107 to go. And then a crazy 3 at the end of the quarter, last possession of the quarter for Curry, and he knocked that down. So the quarter ended 27-27, and it was 61-52 Golden State at halftime. And again, a stat I pulled up that I thought was quite interesting was the Warriors' record when Andre Iguodala makes 3 or more threes was 25-4. 25-4 is their record when Andre makes more than 3 threes, and I guess we can make that 26-4 now that the Golden State had won that game. But that to me shows right away that if you're getting that contribution from Andre Iguodala, a guy that's not known as a prolific 3-point shooter, that's going to be the difference in a lot of these games, especially when you have the firepower that Golden State has. So just going over some quick stats in the quarter, Golden State shot 52%. 23 of 44 from the field, 9 of 17 from downtown, and 7 of those threes came from Iguodala and Steph. Curry had 20 points in the half, 7 of 13 with 4 assists, 2 steals. He was 4 of 6 from downtown. The Warriors were 6 of 6 from the line and had 16 rebounds, but only 2 offensive. They had 15 assists on 23 makes. KD as well had a decent half. He was 4 of 10, 12 points, 4 assists, 4 rebounds, and a plus 15 as well. So he was making quite the impact on the court. On both sides, I should say. From the Cleveland side, only 38% shooting, 18 of 47. Felt like there were some good stretches where they were defended well. I alluded to that earlier, but also had the same amount of possessions where I thought that they were just awful. Particularly J.R. Smith, some miscommunications as well, really didn't do them any favors. So 23 rebounds for the Cavs, though, in that first half, and 10 of them were offensive, which is actually a great number. 12 assists on 18 made field goals. They were 6 of 5 from 3, which is 6 of 15 from 3, which is 40%. Good number there. LeBron was 6 of 10 at the half, 16 points, 5 assists, 3 rebounds, also a -9. He again had some bad defensive breakdowns, we'll say. It was a little bit tough to watch, and we'll get into some of the troubles that he had after we go through the rest of the game. But Nance, again, off 4 offensive rebounds. He was a +5. Again, he did, I alluded to this earlier, he did a good job sealing for a lot of those offensive rebounds and easy buckets. Somebody who was not effective was Tristan Thompson. He only had 2 rebounds at the half, and he was -19. Presence really wasn't felt like we're used to seeing it. We didn't really see him on the offensive glass. Again, only 2 rebounds, one of them offensive. And George Hill the same way, -14. He had no points, 0 of 3 from the field and 2 rebounds. 10 of 16 on the free throws for the Cavs. And I mentioned again, JR was getting attacked defensively, and no surprise there. So going to the third quarter, this is where things really started to fall apart for the Cavaliers. So no sense of urgency whatsoever coming out of the quarter. 6 quick points to start the quarter for Golden State with 10:16 left to go. Thompson got a floater in the lane. Curry hit a long, wide open 2, and JaVale got a tip in. That led to a timeout for the Cavs. 67-52 Warriors at that point with 10:16 to go. And at that point, you were thinking, okay, this is danger time here for the Cleveland Cavaliers. They need to come up with some sort of stretch that's going to get them back in this game. And I was looking for that for the rest of the third quarter, but we'll see what happened in a second. So Warriors did have some wide open looks to start and to possibly put this game away, but the Cavs took advantage of some of those misses and kept hanging around. Despite the final score, which we'll get to at the end, the Warriors had many chances to put this game away. I can't believe how many open shots they had missed. It seemed like they could have been up easily 25, 26, 27 points at the end of the third quarter, but some of those misses allowed the Cavs to hang around a little bit, and after a few looks, there was a timeout Warriors, but it was 69-58 Golden State with 7:50 to go. So 11-point lead is still hanging around, in my opinion. If you're around 10, 11 points, you're still in the game for the most part. And then out of the timeout, JR gambles on KD, and he drives into the paint and hits Clay for a wide open 3. Again, JR being another culprit on defense. That put Golden State up about 17 with 6 minutes to go. And then Golden State had another chance to put the game away, but a couple bad turnovers led to some buckets to keep them in it, and a 15-point game was there as well. So the timeout Cavs, after a Klay Thompson mid-range 2, had to score 79-63 Golden State with 4:03 to go. And the score was 18. And the quarter score was 18-11 for the Warriors at this point. And then a terrible look for Jeff Green out of the timeout. Baseline fadeaway over Bell was not good to see, especially needing a bucket at that point. And I should also mention that Jordan Bell was excellent in this quarter, not just in isolation defense, but also on the glass. He had really been effective, like tipping out, getting extra possessions, getting his hands on balls. And there was at least a couple tip outs where they maybe didn't directly lead to buckets, but they led to second chances, which then led to buckets. And one of those was a Klay Thompson 3 late in the quarter. And then the final quarter score was 25-13 for the Warriors and 86-65 after 3. And that was pretty much the game. I mean, you can't really say anything else more than that. Down 21. I'd love to say that the Cavs came out with some crazy sense of urgency in the fourth quarter, but that definitely did not happen. It really seemed, unfortunately, like they mailed it in. Didn't seem like any sense of urgency. I know I keep going back to that as a theme, but that just was not there. But that's what you look for. That's what you look for in a closeout game, in a game where you know you're down 3-0 and you need to win to keep it going, and it just wasn't there. So quite unfortunate to see that the fight wasn't there. Despite that, Golden State actually only won the fourth quarter 22-20 over Cleveland. And that was pretty much the game. So just getting into some final box score stats. To be honest, I had no point to go over the fourth quarter. It wasn't much of a game at that point. It looked like everybody had mailed it in. So points in the paint were even for both teams at 38. Looks like second chance points the same at 19. Fast break points, Golden State actually did not run a lot in this game. Only 5 fast break points. Cleveland had 10. Golden State had a big lead of 28 at one point. I think that was in the fourth quarter. Cleveland's biggest lead was 1. 12 team rebounds each. Total turnovers, Golden State 10, Cleveland 11. And the points off turnovers were Golden State 11 and Cleveland 10. So about even across everything. But in the end, Golden State did come out victorious, 108-85 for the Warriors, and the Finals MVP goes to Kevin Durant, who had a triple-double in this game, 20 points, 12 rebounds, 10 assists. He had a steal. He had also 3 blocks. I alluded to a couple of them in there in the first quarter. 6 of 6 from the line. He went 7 of 17. Curry had an excellent game as well. He was, and I should also mention at the in the fourth quarter, it really seemed like the team was trying to get Curry some good looks to try and see if he could secure this Finals MVP. Unfortunately, it wasn't enough, but Stephen Curry, 12 of 27 for 44% shooting, 7 of 15 from downtown, 6 of 6 from the line as well. He had 6 rebounds, 4 assists, 3 steals, and 3 blocks. I can't believe that Curry had 3 blocks in this game. That's crazy. For 37 points, and he was a plus 18. I should also mention Kevin Durant was a team high plus 30 for the game as well. LeBron James, pretty much the only player who played well in this game. I'm seeing going down the box score. Kevin Love, 4 of 13. JR, 3 of 8. Rodney Hood, 4 of 14. Jeff Green, 2 of 8. Corver, 0 of 6. No, he really didn't get any help whatsoever. So LeBron, 7 of 13 from the field. Crazy the fact that he only took 13 shots. Played 40 minutes, so not necessarily the 48. Maybe that had something to do with the amount of low shots, but I think 13 is too little. The fact that he got the same amount of shots as Kevin Love and less than Rodney Hood is staggering to me. 53% shooting, 7 of 13. Only took 1 3, and he missed that, 0 of 1. He was 9 of 11 from the line, had 7 rebounds, 8 assists, but 6 turnovers, only 1 block. He had 23 points and a minus 21. George Hill and Kevin Love were tied for the worst plus minus at minus 26 as well. Tough, and that'll pretty much do for the game. I mean, it was just tough to see, tough to watch Cleveland go out that easily. You would like to see them put up a little bit more of a fight, and it was crazy. I mean, a lot of people right after the game, including Charles Barkley, said they didn't want to hear the Jordan to LeBron comparisons after a game like this. Charles Barkley said he's willing to deal with the judicial system, that he was going to slap any media member up that tried to insinuate or tell him that LeBron was as good of a competitor or better player than Michael Jordan. And I think Stephen A. Smith echoed the same sentiments, where he said Jordan would never have let this effort happen on his watch. And let me be fully honest, I didn't really see Michael Jordan play. I only saw him play maybe 1 or 2 games tops against the Wizards when I was very young, but I gotta believe that there's some truth to what both of those guys are saying. From what I've seen, from what I've read, from what I've watched, Michael Jordan was an all-time great competitor, maybe the all-time great competitor, and I have to believe that there is some merit to what they're saying, that Jordan would not have let this happen. Mind you, he had gotten swept in series before. He got swept against the bad boy Pistons. But at the same time, you could see that he wasn't giving up. As soon as he got a little sliver of an all-star in Scottie Pippen, and I don't want to discredit Scottie Pippen. My point is that as soon as Jordan was able to play with a second star, he was absolutely unstoppable, and that led him to 6 championships. And he was trying to win by himself before that. But the effort to me, I read and I've seen was completely there, and you can see that there was a killer mentality that he had, and it seemed like LeBron James was lacking that mentality in this game. And I guess this would be a good time to mention that after the game, Brian Windhorst leaked to everybody that LeBron had actually been playing with a very, very swollen, if not broken hand for the last 3 games. He mentioned after the loss in Game 1, he actually had punched a blackboard out of frustration and lack of control of his emotions, and actually had a serious bone contusion in his right hand. They said the swelling was so bad that they couldn't even tell if it was a break. So LeBron was playing, had a soft cast on for a lot of, even in the press conference, you could see the cast, which brought up a lot of the questions. But LeBron is a warrior, despite the fact that he didn't give his best effort in this game. Seemed like he mailed it in a little bit, but that's not to discredit what LeBron has done throughout these entire playoffs. Being able to take this team past Indiana and then sweep the Raptors and then through a very resilient young Celtics team all the way to the finals is nothing short of spectacular, especially with some of the games he's had. A couple game winners in those series as well, a couple buzzer beaters. So by no means am I discrediting LeBron James for the playoff run he's had. If anything, I think this playoffs has actually added to his legacy in the sense that he's proven that he can take just about any team, any roster, any collection of players to the finals in the Eastern Conference whenever he wants. And I think that to me weighs a little bit more than mailing in, not so much mailing in, but just mailing in the fourth quarter at least of a series that's 3-0 against one of the best teams ever constructed, at least in my opinion. So that'll wrap it up for the game. Now, just want to kind of touch on a little bit of what LeBron's going to do this offseason, because I don't think he even knows what he's going to do, and it's going to be really, really, really tough for LeBron to make his decision, because I think if you've listened to any of the speculation, the analysts talking about where he could go, it doesn't really seem like there's a perfect situation that is going to suit LeBron 100%, and he's going to have to make some sacrifices wherever he goes. So Stephen A. has outlined 7 teams that are going to have a conversation with him this summer, that being the Cavaliers, the Warriors, the Sixers, the Celtics, the Rockets, the Lakers, and the Miami Heat. And cue my has for the Warriors and the Celtics, because I think those 2 teams to me are completely off the table. I think that they would damage his legacy going to any one of those teams. Easy to understand why Golden State wouldn't be a good look for him. But in terms of the Celtics, I mean, you're going to go team up with Kyrie, the guy who tried to get away with you, to get away from you to get his own team. And now you're going to try and come back and join him to try and get to the finals for a 9th straight time. I don't think that's a good look for LeBron specifically, especially when he's kind of just hopping on the bandwagon of all this strategic planning that Danny Ainge and the Celtics front office has done with their draft picks and their drafts. I mean, I think LeBron definitely sees some intrigue to playing with guys like Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, especially when Hayward and Kyrie are on that team. The depth you can imagine would be absolutely astounding and a very tough team to beat, but seems like a very easy way out, all things considered, just because of the way they're constructed and the fact that they don't need LeBron. They literally do not need LeBron James. The Celtics are set up to be one of the better Eastern Conference teams, if not one of the championship contending teams over the next 5 years with the way they've built themselves. So I really wouldn't advise LeBron going to the Celtics, and we will get into a little bit deeper on that in a future podcast, but we'll go over some of the breakdowns of some of the salary caps, what it'll take to try and move some pieces around to get LeBron, things of that nature. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. Long off season ahead of us. But that does not mean the content stops. We're still going to be here. We're going to be doing some knowledge pieces. We're going to try and incorporate maybe a few video breakdowns, things of that nature, where we can teach you a little bit more about the X's and O's. We'll dive into a little bit about what the salary cap means and get into some of the trade exceptions, kickers, the aprons, the repeater tax, the mid-level exceptions, all that sort of stuff. So be prepared to have some content around that will be coming out soon. But yeah, nonetheless, great season. Was really happy with the way it turned out, other than the lack of competitiveness there in the finals. But was really happy to have another great successful basketball season in my eyes, and can't wait to pick this up again in October. But for now, we'll be looking forward to the draft. Again, we might do might do some content on that. We'll see. I haven't really done a lot of draft scouting, and I know it's only a couple weeks away here, but maybe I can just try and pick out a couple of places I think might be beneficial for some guys, or maybe some potential draft night trades that may go on as well. So again, just keep listening. Just because the season has stopped doesn't mean the content stops. So we will be back. I'm not too sure when, but nonetheless, we'll keep you updated with stuff like that. And I know I'm starting to gain a couple listeners now. A few of you guys are commenting on some of my live YouTube stuff, and I know some of you are liking the Facebook and the Twitter page and stuff like that too, which is great. If you guys have anything you want to learn specifically, or anything that you want me to touch on, please feel free to reach out, tweet at me. You can send me a DM on Instagram at IsoBallPod, all of that sort of stuff. So please feel like you are just as big as a part of this podcast as I am, and I'm here for the listeners as opposed to me just doing it for fun. It is fun for me, but it's fun if you guys actually get something out of it too. So please feel free to reach out to me, and we will see if we can make this podcast the best in terms of what you guys are looking for. Thanks for coming on, and we will see you soon. Till then.